Welcome to the Bloom Era. Join Marie, Michelle, Vita, and Michelle, four lifelong friends, on our journey through perimenopause. We'll share our stories, insights, and laughter as we embrace this new stage of womanhood. Let's bloom together. Why am I so nervous?
Okay, ladies, we are talking about how this started, how the Bloom era came to be. I guess I'm supposed to.
This is your idea,
This,
Marie.
like most get rich quick / famous schemes, it started with me. So it started because I think I ended up having a menstrual cycle that was literally 2 weeks long. Like I had a period and started my next period within 2 weeks. And I was like, that has never, ever, ever happened to me in 30 years of having a period. So I was like, immediately went to our group chat and I was like, hey, are y'all like experiencing anything weird with your menstrual cycle? I just had a 2 week cycle and I'm like, what the heck? And so, we kind of chatted in that. And I don't know. Did anybody have a weird cycle? No, I think y'all were all like normal. But it made me think, I was like, oh, we're about to go through, like, this is my group chat through perimenopause, probably. Like, these are the ladies. And I just thought it was really neat that we didn't group chat because we didn't have cell phones through puberty, but, we all knew each other around the time we started our periods. And then we've remained friends throughout this entire time. And I just think that's really beautiful. Like, I don't want to get all like verklempt about it, but I think it's really neat that we've had this bond and we've really walked through our entire journey of womanhood together. And we've done it. I think another interesting thing is we haven't been lockstep. We've all done different stages at different times of, whatever. So I thought there are other people that are probably having the same questions we're having. Our bodies are changing. We're going into this new place. And I thought it would be neat to invite them into our journey because I think we are weird. I mean, I think this is a very unique thing for four women to stay friends this long. And, I think that's neat. So what did y'all think when I suggested?
I thought it was really interesting timing because I've been, on the social medias, things kept popping up about perimenopause, and I'd never really heard of it before or even thought of it. Like, I didn't think of myself being like I should be preparing for menopause, or I'm even close to it. But this new word, like perimenopause, kept coming up on like different social media, like Instagram videos. That I'm aging myself because I watch things on Instagram, not on TikTok. But I'm sure they are TikTok videos that I've been caught on Instagram 3 months later. But yeah, I was like, okay, perimenopause, and they list kind of their symptoms and what they're going through, and I was like, oh, I'm kind of going through something similar. Just we had talked about like the kind of weight gain or brain fog, just all these different symptoms that all these women kind of like my age are experiencing. And I was like, okay. So I was thinking about it, and then you sent that group text, and I was like, okay, everybody's thinking about it, so it's not just me. So I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. We're all kind of hitting that stage of life together.
And I think it's really cool because a lot of being a woman can be really isolating, like going through early motherhood and all that, and having friends you can talk to makes it less so. And like you were saying, you see stuff on social media, you're like, I'm not alone, like other people going through that. And I think it's really cool that we have that outlet, and we also have each other. Because I don't think when we were going through puberty, we're like, I'm really feeling irrational right now. Do you guys know why? So I think it's cool that we survived that, and now we're at a different, more mature outlook where we can look back on that stage and explore this stage together.
I hadn't thought at all about how perimenopause is coming on or not. But all through my period since I did start it, I've had back cramps, so I've always tried to figure out a way to get those to go away without the hormonal birth control, because that does throw me for a loop. So just thinking about menopause and the hormonal changes that are coming with that, I'm sure I will experience these crazy symptoms, especially the irritability and the annoyances with just people in general. It's bound to happen. So, and then I just like the idea of being able to hang out more too. So,
Shelly
I'm here.
I would say is definitely the thread for us being friends and the kind of friends we've been for, 30 years, right? Yeah. 30, we're not there yet. So we've been friends 30 years. And we've been in school together, and Then we all went separate ways for college and then adulthood. But Shelly is, if you guys are thinking like, how do you guys do it? And how do you find a friendship group for this long? I mean, I would think the three of us would agree, like, we would know each other on Facebook and Instagram. We'd still be friends in that way, but I don't think we would have this commitment to making sure us and our husbands get together and we get together and our kids get together. And Shelly is our shining star of like, nope, it's been too long, my friends.
Oh, that is the advice I gave my 13-year-old. I was like, because she's 13 now, which is around the age we were when we met. So she's kind of obsessed with knowing, like, are my friends now going to be my friends forever? And she was like, what do you do? And I was like, you need to look for a planner. Like, if you have a planner, somebody who's having events, who's inviting you, like, you latch onto a planner, you'll be fine. So,
Well, I guess I'm the extroverted introvert because I don't like other people, but I like to be with my people.
she's like,
And you're my
so
people.
to avoid having to have new people, I'm keeping the ones I have.
Right.
And
I'm comfortable here. I'm good, but I still have that interaction, you know.
So Shelly, we call her Shelly. I know she goes by Michelle as well. So,
sorry.
Yeah.
But just keep up.
yeah. So we say Shelly, it's one of the Michelles. But yeah, and she was voted most dependable in high school. It kind of has really just kind of continued your whole life, I guess, throughout our friendship being dependable. So I mean, it just kind of makes sense. But you saying that made me go, well, actually, Shelly's not dependable. She's just selfish, is really what it is. She just doesn't want to make new friends. She's lazy and she's selfish. So,
And she's shy.
Oh, and shy. Well,
I'm shy to put myself out there for the new friends.
just kidding, guys. Just kidding.
So it was funny though, because when the initial podcast chat was, I sent to Vita and Michelle because they're equally like a little weird and very like online type people. And so I didn't include Shelly at first. And then the more I thought about it, I was like, and the reason I didn't include Shelly at first was because like Shelly puts like nothing online. So, you know, like you want to keep your introverted.
I didn't watch TikTok before this. And I could probably count on 5 hands that I've watched it since.
It's probably all ones we've sent
Or
you.
one hand. Oh, those two, yeah.
And so initially I was like, oh, Shelly won't want to do this. But then I just like, it's not going to be the same without Shelly. And I think the thought of us hanging out regularly, Shelly's like, you better, like, and I told her that I was like, hey, you know, you can if you want to. I don't want to like force you or anything. And she was like, well, I want to hang out. I don't want to miss out on that. So, so here she is, and I love it. But so just to kind of talk about our backstory, we've all been friends since 7th grade. We all went to junior high together. We went to I think it's a strange or junior high and high school because it was very diverse and like income diverse, like a lot of diversity in a lot of different ways. What did you guys think about each other? Because we've just watched each other grow up. Like, is the person you see now, like, does it make sense from the person that you saw as a kid? I'm like throwing this question out there. They were not prepared.
That's a good question. Honestly, like because you guys mentioned the other day, like, how do we meet? And I'm like, I don't really remember meeting you guys, which
I just feel like we've always known you.
yeah, like I can't say like, oh, I met Marie on the first day of 7th grade. Like, were we in the same mini schools or we were? Yeah. No,
I don't remember.
We were in 8th grade.
In 8th grade.
And y'all were in 8th grade.
Okay.
And I don't think in 7th
In
grade.
7th grade. Which one were you in?
Comets.
No, I wasn't in that one.
I was like, I thought you
Did
meant
they
no, I
invite
wasn't. I
us
was
to,
like,
like, whether you were in band or Spanish or
8th grade was the Spanish.
did you do Spanish?
I didn't do Spanish.
You
No,
we did Spanish.
Yeah, we did Spanish. My connection to Marie, I think 7th grade connected a lot with Damone and Santala. They were like my BFFs in middle school and throughout high school. And I'm still friends with them as well right now. But so Marie, you at the time were, and so they're Lao. I'm Lao, Laotian. So Marie was really close friends at that time with Diane. So I'm thinking our connection was through Diane,
I
through
think
the
so.
Asian community within
Yeah. So,
the
like-
middle school.
Right. So there was like a large Laotian group in our high school, and I'm not Laotian. My mom's from the Philippines, so I'm mixed. So it was like me and Diane were best friends, and it was always like, oh, I'm not really allowed to be here, but I'm here because of Diane. Like I had my pass. But yeah, that's I think how we ended up becoming friends, and you were like kind of were we academic Olympics? When was
Yes.
that?
That's what I was
Yes.
remembering was the academic Olympics.
We were all
bringing our nerd
nerds.
card.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's how we knew
Probably
each
what it
other.
was.
We were nerds.
And then you and I think part was through Crystal.
Mhm.
So
Did you guys do the math week?
The math weeks?
deal?
I
Yeah.
did, too.
Okay,
The
I
math
did
test in
too.
high school.
No, you competed doing math quizzes like
Yeah.
after school. Did y'all do that?
Yeah.
Okay,
so.
so we all did that. So
Mhm.
that's probably what
We
it was.
also drank a lot. No, I'm kidding. We did. Our cool cred is like plummeting. No, we didn't have any cool cred. But no, I think like we were all very smart kids and all the honors programs. And, you know, if it was so Michelle was valedictorian. You were number 3, I think, or
Maybe 4. I think
Maybe.
it was you,
All
Laura,
3.
Laura, and then Kyle. Now his name's maybe something else.
Galen.
And then me.
and then okay, so 4 and then 6 and
18.
then 18. Yeah. So we were, you know, top 20. Like that was in high school, but yeah, so we're just smart kids. I think if I was like you were valedictorian smart kid, you were like, I feel like you're our creative smart kid. I've always felt like you're artsy, you're like dancing and very like, I don't know, I feel like you were like the birth of body positivity. Like just like be comfortable in your body. Do you feel like that? No.
No,
You were like, no,
I'm surprised. I mean, I'm flattered. I feel like that's awesome that you think that about me. I would like to be considered a creative and an artistic person.
But you
I
always
wish I-
thought you were the extroverted one, I guess, of our group. The
Really?
more outgoing and
no, yeah, I'm like, I totally was like, oh, you're just like, you know, not
Yeah.
a hippie.
No, I see it like it's hard to put. I'm not sure that the correct word for it, but this movement you're doing, like that's very Vita. Just
Oh,
like,
wow.
just like.
I like it.
No, I mean it's a very
I
much a
think that's who I
positive
would want
thing.
to be. I didn't know that's
Yeah.
what it
I think you
exuded.
were definitely, to me, you were, it's funny because I think in one of our episodes, you talk about your kids and like how they're so comfortable and, you know, extroverted and make friends easily. But you sounded like you thought that was how did I create that? And I'm like, thinking back to that conversation, I'm like, well, Vita, I felt like you had friends in lots of different groups, like you were comfortable with yourself. And so,
You
anyway,
definitely had like an aura that like attracts people too. They
Yeah.
were like, oh yes, you're fun.
thank
You're fun
you.
to be around. And Marie was always our funny one. Like still,
will
like
it make y'all laugh, please?
it makes us laugh. And Shelly was always the dependable one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm. And I don't know. I always thought me and you. I felt really close to you because we would always walk home from school and all that. And you were really smart, and I just felt like we kind of had a good click. Especially from the beginning.
Yeah, I definitely think Michelle was always very smart. Like I always saw you as being the smart one. Even out of the smart kids, I think you were smart. You were an avid reader, and I think that was kind of always there since we've known you. We've grown up and kind of came into like basically every once in a while we'd hang out. Like I think I went to Tacoma to see you at one point, and I think then you became like more of a hippie person to me. I don't know if that was how I thought you would be in like middle school, high school, but you became this like not just hippie, but like super a trendy hippie, if that's possible. If that makes sense,
like a yuppie.
is that what that is?
I don't know.
But yeah, you were like hippie granola, but also super trendy and cool. Like it's a good blend.
It was a good blend. And I think I feel like the three of us kind of came out, like, oh, we see that seed. We know what flowers are going to bloom from that. And then Michelle was so like, not in like I don't want to do things the way y'all are doing it way, but like, I don't care about your trends. I don't care about Britney Spears. I don't care about boyfriends. Like who likes me? I don't care. Like all of it was very like, whatever. And then, you got married, moved off and did all that stuff. And not that I don't feel like you became trendy, like, oh, I'm chasing trends, but like, I don't know, like maybe the world caught up to you, like just the things you were naturally interested in became the things that society was like, you're very into health and like, that's it. It's like maximizing. Like, I feel like you're a researcher for the sake of like, what is the maximum like bang for buck?
Yeah, that's
like,
probably it. Because I have no idea how that happened either. Because I was like, I had my ugly shoes, I had my comfortable pants, I had my t-shirts and my hoodie. Like I didn't care. Like I really did not care. And now, I mean, I think part of it is I just had more time and more like, I don't know, I just became more interested in fashion. But a lot of it is I'm like, oh, what is the best skincare, routine? I will find that one. I will research it and find it and then use it. So I think
it tapped into that part of your
maximizing part of my personality. That's very insightful, Marie. I did not connect those dots. But the same thing, like in Tacoma, you're like, oh, you're like this granola. And I'm like, that's when I had kids. So then I got all into like, oh, natural childbirth and cloth diapering and breastfeeding. And, so I think that was like my research mind just is that's
Trying
where
to figure
it
out the
leads
best
me.
way
Yeah.
to do something.
Maybe
Yeah.
that's, yeah, maybe that's it.
I like it. I like it. And then Shelly to me is, I feel like you are like the like Shelly manifests. Shelly's like, what the
You know, though, Shelly, like I have never met anybody who's like, this is what I'm doing. I'm going to go to college. Yeah, I'm going to do this then. Now it's time to start dating. And then she starts dating. Like just as soon as she says, this is what's going to happen, it's what happens.
Because Shelly had you didn't, boyfriends and all that stuff. Like you didn't really like do any of that in high school or even college. Yeah. And it wasn't like, oh, I can't wait. I mean, honestly, I think you were like, until Heath Ledger comes to ask me out, I'm not that interested
There's
in
more
it.
that shyness and not being brave enough to put myself out there to look for it. So then just kind of put it to the back of my mind that it wasn't time.
Exactly. And then she decided, I mean, I just remember there was like the season in your 20s where it felt like, or maybe it was like late 20s, early 30s, but it was like, I'm going to lose weight, lost the weight. I'm going to start dating. Like you just had this weird, like.
My mom said that to me before. She's like, you make like a to-do list and you
Yeah,
you
you
do
follow
it.
through and you follow through.
Do you write it down, Shelly? Do you write?
I do not write it down.
Because you write.
I write stuff down.
Do you write stuff down, Vita, when you're.
Like daily to do, not like long term, like vision board to do. I probably should. I think that'd be cool.
I know. I
but
think there's
don't.
probably power to putting I don't. Like, I almost never make a to-do list unless my 13-year-old daughter makes it for me because she's really into lists and accomplishing them. Yes.
I did read something like as a meme, so it's not like as a like major article, but it said like don't tell people your goals because when you do, it tricks your mind into thinking you've already met them.
I've heard this.
But
I've
why
heard it
not?
too.
'Cause I feel like you've done that, Shelly. Like, you're like, oh, after I'm done with law school, I'm going to lose weight. And then you're like, oh, I'm going to start dating at this point. And
I just read
you
this.
speak
so.
it into being and it becomes that way. So
But I don't think she puts it on Facebook. Like,
That's true.
I'm the kind of person that's like, starting my new diet today.
that is true. You speak it to those
And then my
close
friend
to
is
you.
like,
Yeah.
awesome, let's celebrate, let's talk about it.
Is it because you get satisfied from like the responses you're getting from people? Like, way to go, Marie! That's
Dopamine
awesome.
hit.
And you're like, okay, like I've
Yeah.
accomplished what I needed to do. I
People
don't
like
really
me.
need to diet, so
Yeah, I don't know the science behind it, or if there is science behind it. It was a meme again. I thought it was an interesting statement, though. I was like, huh, maybe.
I think that tracks with you though. Like, you're pretty like make moves in the dark. Like,
mhm.
I like it. So I feel like we all became, and then Vita, I feel like you just listened to your, I was telling my mom this, because the husband you ended up choosing, I mean, I think Sean is just so perfect for you. And I just feel like you had such a good compass of what you needed and wanted in life. I don't know where you developed that or if you, and you just built this little family that I feel like just perfectly represents everything you've ever wanted. Do you think that?
Yeah, I love my family. I love my husband, so I do think they're great. But I don't like you're right. I don't think like Shelly was like I set out for a specific path. I don't think I ever did that. I just kind of fell into my life, I guess, as it is, and made moves, I guess, a lot based on intuition and whatnot. So yeah, I guess that's partly right. I don't feel like I was like I'm looking for a husband and like had this list of things that he had to be. And I guess I don't do that with life. I do take it a little bit more kind of day by day. I
You
mean, I
always
plan ahead a little bit. but-
Dated more than probably the rest of us.
Yeah.
So I mean, you
So
knew
what are you saying, Shelly?
once you got
that's
where
not a
the one
lot.
you wanted, you knew pretty quick.
Yes, I can think back. But so that's kind of cool having like multiple dating experiences and multiple boyfriends. I do look back and go, okay, what did I like out of that person? What didn't I like? And each time I had a new boyfriend, I felt like the new boyfriend was a little bit better or fulfilled something that the other one didn't. So yeah, I think that was beneficial, but I don't think I intentionally did it. I didn't intentionally go, well, now I know what 5 characteristics I want in a husband and what 5 characteristics I don't. But it just connected with the person that I connected with.
I just felt like because I think you spent a lot of like your 20s like going where you're like, because you like moved to Texas right? Didn't you do something?
Yeah,
like,
I moved to Texas right after grad school. Wasn't feeling it, moved back.
I just felt like you honored yourself. Like, and it's that moving thing again. Like, I feel like that kind of is your.
She still does that because I know, like, we worked together at T-Dot, and she started off in one division, and it wasn't where she wanted to be, so she found another place.
Yeah.
It, worked for a little while until, the people around her changed and she wasn't as happy there, so she went somewhere else. Was okay there until
Yeah,
it
I
wasn't
think
always satisfied.
I'm
But
okay
she's not
with
afraid of
change.
changing to be
Yes,
happy.
I'm okay with change, especially if I'm feeling some kind of way where I'm at, if that makes sense. If I'm
That's
not
awesome.
happy,
Yeah, and
and
you're
it's
not
like,
scared of the risk.
yeah, it's like I'm not happy here. Like I don't feel good. It's draining energy, whatever it is. It's like I don't want to be here. I will make a change. So that's correct, I think, with a lot of
That's still
things.
going on.
I'm
Yeah.
terrified of change.
Yeah, it would have to be really bad for me to want to just say, I'm out of here and just take off however many months you took off. You know?
Oh yeah, yeah. It's a risk. You're right. I guess I don't think of it as being a risk taker, but like you said, Marie, it's just kind of like honoring like who I am and what I want.
Your gestalt, your gut is
Yes,
really
my intuition's like it's
yes,
gonna
it's
be
good,
fine.
and you
Yeah.
listen to it, which is amazing.
I love that.
Thank you.
Love it. So, we called it the bloom era, and we didn't really know what we were gonna call this. We were kind of going like the pause friends and things like that. And then Vita suggested like you kind of were hearing from your gut about bloom and flowers and something. And I just thought that was really neat, especially because I feel like now a bunch of women are kind of in that stage when you get here to your 40s, there is that feeling of like not starting over, but what am I becoming next, And so we're blooming into something next. So,
and also menopause, you always, the way it's been presented is that you're withering. The bloom is done.
I love
so it's like
that.
the opposite. Like we're looking at it from a different point of view.
Shelley, so meta.
Love it.
Awesome.
Love it. And yeah, so like, what are you guys kind of I'm again throwing this at you guys like, but what are y'all thinking your bloom era? Are you feeling like where do you want to bloom in this next phase of life? And all the different things that could mean for y'all personally. Just curiosity.
That's a great question. I feel like this last 10 years or so, 13 years, I guess, of my life has been so focused on being a mom and like you said, maximizing. Like I do the research, I read the books, like what's the best parenting style? What's the best schooling style? Like all of it so much. And not that I'm going to stop doing that, but my kids are 13 and 9 now. So they're less needy and less time consuming. So now I've got more time to focus on what it is I want, which is not something I've even considered. My husband was active duty military, so it was very much like, supporting his job and what he needs, and then supporting my kids and being there for them. And I still have that. I'm still like, no, if they need me to take them to an activity, I want to be there. But I had this opportunity to start working part-time. And when I pursued that, I got really excited about it. And it's not even like it's, something like on paper, I'm probably overqualified for, but I feel underqualified for because I've been out of the workforce for so long. But the fact that I'm like really excited about that, like I'm like, oh, there's that part of me still. So exploring that and just kind of seeing how I like it and where it goes. That's how I'm going to focus on blooming in the short term.
Love that. I love that. We're gonna. I think. What about you, Vita? Are you blooming?
I'm still kind of in the middle of that motherhood, early motherhood phase of my life. Bodhi is 6 and Zen is 4. So, but they're not babies and toddlers anymore. So I've kind of moved to another stage where I do have a little bit more time for myself. So I have started kind of refocusing back on myself and my interest and, spending more time at the gym and taking care of what I put into my body, doing a little bit more research and about, all that, the health and stuff. So that's really important to me. So getting it to a point where I think I'm taking care of myself a little bit more, is kind of where I'm at right now, but I'm still pretty deep in the whole like young motherhood stage of my life. Yeah, in the trenches. So slowly moving my way out of that. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at now. Just kind of slowly working towards kind of doing more things for myself.
Love it. Shelley, you're really our bloomer, I feel like.
Well, as we talked about earlier, I'd usually try to think up my response while other people are talking a little bit. And I can't think of a good answer. So I'm not real sure kind of where I'm going. My kids are kind of in the middle, I guess, of the two of you guys. I have 9 and 6. So they still need me a little more than like a preteen, but not as much as like a baby. And I definitely want to be there to meet their needs. But I want to start thinking about, is this something they need or something they want? And if it's a need for myself, my need comes before their want. So their needs always would be 1, but then my need would be 2 versus their want being 3.
It's a good way to look at it. I mean, when they are little, it is very consuming that their needs kind of overshower. But
when you ride it on an airplane, they're like, oh, put on your oxygen mask before you put on your child's. There was a long point in my life where that statement alone gave me so much anxiety. I was like, no, and I get why, if I'm passed out, I can't take care of my kids. But that, the fact I would not put it on my child first gave me every time I flew on a plane or thought about that statement, it gave me anxiety. So Shelly's
kudos to you, Shelly. But Shelly is also, you're I feel like you're going to be a whole new woman for your 40s. You don't have to go into all the, you're getting.
Yeah, I feel like some of that is
part of this. I
guess selfish and vain, kind of when I think about it and everything. Because it is more for me. Again, losing weight, some of that is health related and all of that. But also it is just wanting to look better and be happy with kind of what I'm seeing and all of that.
To bloom?
Exactly. No, and I think what you were saying, I think there is this conception that oh, we're entering that. And no, I've said it, your sister said it, well, why do you need to look good? Because, you're married, who cares? Which is a horrible thing to say. I mean, even saying it out loud, you realize it. But, I think you being no, I want to feel good. I want to look good. We're not dead. This idea that, it's over because we're 40, I think it subtly crept into my mind anyway. It's who cares? But I'm proud of you. I think it's good that you're no, I want to look the best I can. And I want to feel good. And why not take it to.
I guess the weight loss surgery, I wish I had done that closer to after Everly was born, but I was trying to do weight loss on my own, which dieting is just a horrible thing. And, you don't lose it kind of thing. So it got to the surgery point. So that's one regret, is not doing that earlier. But as far as the more cosmetic, plastic surgery stuff, I can afford it now, where I before wouldn't have thought I'd be able to. So it became a possibility where I could do that and be happy with what I'm seeing in the mirror,
I love it. Because why waste our time
being unhappy?
Unhappy. Yeah, exactly.
What about you, Marie?
I think I don't know. I think I'm blooming into Shelly's see, I told you it was hard. No, it is. I think it's just kind of blooming into that idea of what is it all for? I feel like I'm feeling very purpose driven in a weird way. Okay, so you're silly. You have ideas about being on the internet and things like that. I do think this is fun. I think it's fun to create this kind of stuff and create these conversations. And so, I'm dragging you guys along with me. I think I've always had this, I've blogged since college, since I could. Yeah. When the minute I found out about blogging, I was oh, this is amazing. I love this whole creating thing. And I think there's a subtle wisdom that knew, because I was doing the mommy blog type thing, and I wasn't anywhere near famous or anything like that, but I was getting oh, do you want to come work with Hallmark, or here, we gave you tickets to Frozen, those kind of things were coming up. And there was just kind of this, don't do it now. I felt very I was still forming as a person in a weird way, in my 20s and early 30s. And it just felt if you start putting yourself out there, it's not, but now I feel so much more grounded about who I am and what I think. And so I'm excited about sharing what this season of life is on here and in other places. But yeah, so
I like this. I love what you're saying there. And I see that with you so much. Because if you think about it before, when you first started blogging, a lot of it was about your relationships. And then it was about your kids. And this is about you.
Exactly.
And then you've got
it just
good idea of who you are.
Right. And, and honestly, I look at a lot of the bloggers that got very popular, when, in the early 2010s or whatever. And a lot of them, they're all divorced now. They're all this, and I was begging Mark at one point, oh, let's do a podcast about our marriage. And I have no doubt, because nobody else was doing, I have no doubt we would have been super popular, because just the timing and all that type of stuff. But I'm I honestly believe we would be divorced right now, because you'd be putting it would be completely for the audience. Your entire life gets shifted. And I don't feel that is at risk anymore for me. So anyways, I just feel this is a fun part of my personality that I'm excited to see like actually grow versus like, and I feel like I'm in a good place to let it grow. Like I think it would have been too early if I had really tried this. So anyways, like I think
So
that
it's Mark helping with some of the production stuff of this. Has this increased the time that you guys are hanging out at home?
no.
No? So you just kind of give it to him and say, good
I
luck?
mean, we talk about it, and so that's kind of fun because he's like, I mean, he's actually like excited. He normally thinks that he doesn't think the stuff is dumb or my ideas are dumb, but he's usually like, he's not the audience for it, so he's always like, "Are you sure people care about y'all's hormones?" And I'm like, "I am 100% sure people care."
That's me. That's why I don't put anything out there, because I think nobody cares what I would put out.
And I'm like, they need something to watch, people. This monster cannot be satisfied. But yeah, no, I mean, I think it's fun for me and him to have something. We just don't have like alone time. It's usually like somebody is at our feet. Like,
Well, yeah, I didn't think of. I just think of more just,
but no, like a
to get,
conversation
like,
for us to have
involved time, not necessarily alone.
But I mean, I'm still in the throes of young motherhood and middle motherhood. I've got all of it. So, and it's just kind of like, well, you got to figure out how to start walking, even though it's messy and things like that. So,
I feel like we've all kind of had a similar kind of thread of like this time, this era in our life is all going to be more about ourselves, which is kind of interesting. I guess when we started puberty, I felt like it was all about like well, maybe not for you, Michelle, but like boys. I want to, I'm trying to find a husband and then have kids. Now it's like, okay, we all have that. We all have our husbands. We all have our kids. Now it's kind of like, okay, it's going to be about us, like ourselves. But then I'm also like, kind of like Michelle Shelley was saying, how it's a really hard question because I kind of don't know exactly what I want out of this time. I know I want to spend more time on myself, but I don't know ultimately what that's going to be. And maybe that's okay. I mean, I don't know. This is an opportunity to kind of discover who we are now. Maybe it sounds like you probably have it, like, yourself a little bit better now than maybe I do. But I'm just kind of like, yeah, who do I want to be like in my 40s and 50s? And I don't know.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's, I don't know if I know more. I think this is like a particular project that seems fun. And I'm like, like, just let it do whatever it's going to do. And I just feel like I'm standing on much more solid ground doing this. Like, but I do think, what you just said is fascinating to me because it is true. It's like you go through puberty and immediately you think everyone's watching. I mean, I think that's what's scary about being 13 is because there was that feeling of like we're on some weird reality show where everybody's, even though it wasn't true, like, but you always felt the center of attention and like, or you wanted to be a certain person, like you're very mindful of how am I perceived by others in your teenage years. And then is someone going to choose me to be their wife? Like you're on this weird bachelorette show in your 20s or whatever. And then it's how am I going to be the best mom I can be to these kids? Because I got to give them the best. And then now it's like, okay, all that stuff's kind of done for the most part. And now we do get kind of the calm of, so who are you? What did that fire, like, who's the woman that's walking out of that furnace?
Betcha there is some like how do you say that word? Anthropological. There's some biological reason for this because I was just talking to my husband about my 13-year-old and all of a sudden she like cares. Like we were hiking and she got dirt on her shorts and she was so embarrassed to like go in public. And he's like, why does she care? Like, and I'm like, well, like think about it. Like it's really important for humans to fit into a society for survival purposes. Like you can't survive out on your own. And maybe we have reached the point where we have had our children, we have had our husbands, we are the society, like we're the matriarchs now, and we don't have to worry about fitting in and changing like parts of ourselves to fit what we think we should do. And now we can bloom into who we want to be.
Exactly. This is at the point of our lives where we give zero fucks. Yeah. So, right? It's like I'm going to be who I am. I'm not going to cater to what your likes are, conform to what society says I need to be at this point because I've been there, done that.
And I think we're like, I don't, this is a little morbid maybe, but I'm like, we are getting closer to, we were watching our parents get closer to the end where, we're having more sense of like, this isn't a game that gets to go forever. Like when you're 13, you're not. So it's like, do I really want to waste the rest of my days pretending and fitting into things that are, and also like that whole, like they find it fascinating that humans, right, have a menopause slash women that
Humans and whales are the only creatures that have a menopause, I think.
I did not know that.
like, because most of the time a species, once you're done reproducing, you're trash. Like, what do we need you for? And I think that might be part of what, I mean, we're still in, we haven't stopped our, we're not in menopause yet, but we're getting there and we're becoming the people that, what's your point?
Yeah.
But we're like, we have a point. And maybe that's, nature's forcing us to define that now.
Yeah.
Like, so anyways.
So I'm excited to watch, like, first of all, how our friendship continues to grow and to change, and how we continue to grow and to change and to bloom. So thank you guys for this. Thank you.
Yes, I love it. And we can't wait for y'all to watch and join us on this journey.